So I get asked this all the time. One of the main questions, main things that people want to know is how I stay warm in the van or if I get cold. And the short answer is sometimes. Sometimes it's cold. Days like this, it's not. I've been actually waiting for it to get colder to make this video so I feel more authentic. But it's like December 29th and it's 11 degrees outside, so I don't think it's going to get too much colder, and I'm going to Mexico soon, so that's definitely not cold. And when I was in California, that was not cold at all. So this is the best it's going to get. I'm just going to share you the tips and tricks that I've learned, because there are like colder nights. Or for example, last winter was a lot colder, and I was in the van from November, December, January. Van got stolen, couch surf, and then like March, April. So I have some winter experience in Vancouver in the van, and I'm going to tell you it is very, very doable, and it's not as bad as you think it is. First question I get a lot is, do you have a heater? Do you use a heater? What heater to use? I do not have a heater. I know other van lifers use propane heaters like the My Buddy heater. There's like little electric heaters that you can kind of use off an inverter or plug in when you have an external outlet. One of the major reasons that I haven't used a propane or butane heater is actually because it burns wet. If you didn't know this, propane and butane burn with wet heat. First of all, it stinks. In my opinion, I hate the smell of it. I can't stand it. And plus, it really adds to the moisture problems. So a lot of van and RV people or boat people have this condensation issue where it gets really moist and there's like water dripping down the walls. And I think a lot of it has to do with propane heaters. The more moisture there is in the air, I think the colder it actually feels. Yeah, so basically the drier it is, the warmer it feels. Like I've known that in places like Alberta, it gets to like -20 or something, but it doesn't feel as cold as like -5 in Vancouver, because Vancouver is a lot wetter. If you experience cold or your blankets feel really cold, it might be because they're moist. Try to reduce the moisture in your space by dehumidifying, using like silica gel things, or not burning propane heat. That might really help just by having a drier space. Oh, and there's also wood stoves that people use. If you look on YouTube, there's terracotta tea light heaters that you can make yourself. I've been thinking about making one for a long time. I've thought about all these options, but honestly, I haven't done any of it because I haven't needed it. It's been sometimes cold, but not too cold enough to the point where I think it's worth my effort to go and get some sort of heater. So I'm going to tell you the ways that I've been dealing with the cold that have totally been working, and I'm very happy to be in the van and it's fine. Number one thing is your location. I would never try to live in a van anywhere in Canada other than West Coast Vancouver. Other parts of the country get like -10, -20, -40. You can probably actually die being in a vehicle that in that temperature without a heater. That's too much for me. Vancouver, I feel like it gets like -5 tops, maybe. It's very, very manageable. It's basically winter camping. Dress for the weather. Layer up. Today I'm actually just in this and a tank top underneath and wearing leggings. It's not cold. But on the colder days, I will layer up. I'll have my leggings. I'll put sweatpants on. I'll put like a t-shirt, sweater, and like put another hoodie on or something. Toques, gloves, fuzzy socks. And yeah, that has really been all I needed. Never needed anything past that. It's mild here. Insulation. So if you're going to be living in a van in the winter time, make sure you insulate your van. I mean, you don't have to. I know people who've done it without, but it really saved my ass to have insulation. So insulation in the walls. Mine is lined with silver board, which is basically like styrofoam with that like silver reflecting stuff. And on top of that, there's a layer of cedar wood. Further insulate, last year I actually got these reflecting sheet things to put over my windows. They work great in the summertime to keep out the heat, but in the wintertime they work the other way around. So they keep your heat in and keep the cold out. So a lot of the heat I find was getting, like the cold was coming in through the window, so this helped a ton. And then also having a curtain, sometimes I would double layer that up to keep out all the heat that escapes in the front areas. And another thing, insulation, is the flooring. So I have the silver board, the subfloor, but last year I was still finding that the floor, oh, awkward turtle. I was still finding that the floor was really cold, sometimes in the morning especially, so I put puzzle mats down. So I just got some cheap kids puzzle mats and cut it to the shape and stuck it down. and then put a rug over that. Like the multiple layering of the insulation really helped. What this insulation does is keeps the cold out, and it also keeps your heat in. So before I sleep at night or on the colder days, I would make sure I would go drive around, not for like hours, even just like 5 minutes, just so the engine warms up, and then crank the heat. Even within 5 minutes, I notice a huge difference. The van really heats up. And then don't open any doors and windows after that. So between that heat, my body heat, and also when I heat up water or anything with my little stove, that heat for that even just like 2 minutes also really heats up my space, especially when everything is insulated, tucked in, retaining the heat in. That generally just keeps things really warm. To boil water, another thing that I love is hot water bottles. This year I have not used it, but I have this. So this year I have not used it because I have Captain Kirk. He cuddles with me and has replaced this guy since, but last year this was my best friend. I would boil water with a pan or pot, put the water in here, and then use the hot pot to warm my bed. It seems ridiculous, but yeah, that hot pan, I don't waste that heat. So sometimes I would like put the hot pan, like I would like hug it and use that as heat, and then just use these hot objects like the hot water bottle, the hot pan, and then just heat up my bed and my blankets. And I would put this in my sleeping bag while I'm sleeping, or hug it, and it's super nice and warm and cozy. So that keeps me warm, and it'll stay warm for actually hours. So this is the last part. When I'm sleeping, I have never been cold while sleeping in the van, and this is basically what I was doing all last winter when it was snowing outside, and I was super cozy. I loved sleeping in the van. Like, emerging out of it was more difficult. That's why usually I'll bundle up before I go to sleep and wear the things that I'm gonna wear in the morning, so then I don't have to like get up out of my sleeping bag and then have to like get naked and change, so I can just like be already in my warmed clothing. That really helps. So I'm gonna show you how I sleep. So one of the most key things about staying warm in the van, especially in the winter time, is get a good sleeping bag. So last year I had a really nice one. Somebody stole it. And this year I went and got another one. So this is from Mech. It is, I don't know the name of it. It doesn't really matter. It's like a 0-degree one. I recommend at least getting like a 0-degree one. Something good for like winter camping or like mountaineering or something. But just think about it. If somebody can sleep in a tent on like an alpine mountain, there's no reason why you won't be comfortable in an insulated van in the city. What I would do is bundle up, get my socks on, sometimes wear 2 pairs of pants and like 2 sweaters or something, and then slither on in, preheat the sleeping bag with your hot water bottle, put the hot water bottle inside, and then just really taco myself up. So this is actually a duvet cover that I have folded in half because my bed is small. And yeah, so now it's a double layer blanket, sometimes maybe another one if you really want to. Get cozy in. You can put the hood on of the sleeping bag if you want. Zip it up all the way so like basically nothing is showing. Like a lot of times I would even like cover the whole of the sleeping bag. Like I can still breathe, but like the heat can't get out. This is how I sleep. When I was in Oregon on the road trip, some nights it was colder, so I would put Kirk in a sleeping bag with me so he's not cold and I'm not cold. Dogs are great heaters. If you don't have a dog, hot water bottle, grab a friend to cuddle with, get cozy. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you later. Let me know if there's anything else you want to know, and I will see you next time. Bye.